Hello, everyone. We have 51 persons now, and we can waiting for a minute. Uh, okay, let's start. Um, okay, can everybody see the screen? Is from uh, okay. So what we will do today? There's two parts. The first one is to review the midterm we just finished last week, and the second thing is the recap the chapter 7 and 8. So, uh, which one you want me to do first? Review the midterm or recap
Midterm.
midterm?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, the professor didn't notice because I made make a mistake. So if you can open the slide he posted yesterday, the max he posts is 108, but our full credit is only 105. So I cracked it again. So if you have any questions about your midterm score, you can send it to me. Uh, Also, I remember you cannot see your midterm answer from your end, right? So, because I remember last time during the exam, and people told me they cannot see what they wrote on the blank. So after they submit, so if you have any question about the midterm, you can ask me after this class. So the average of our class is 95.56, and standard deviation is 6.55. So you can see the medium is an average is quite high, and the maximum of our class is 105, minimum is 75 now. If I'm because we have 11 questions, and we have 108 or 107 persons, so I might make some mistake when I grading. So that means I have almost 1,100 questions to grade. So uh, maybe I grade you like give you more points or less points for each question. So let me know. So here is a like clear um, picture of the distribution of the score for the whole class, and you can see um, the most of students are on the red tail. Um, so most of you did a very good job. And when I grading, I'm not very tough on it. So if your answer is reasonable, I give you the points. So I think the important thing for this class is you know what you know the structure of the class, and you know what to write for your future report in your career, whatever in your career or in your future study. That's the most important thing, not the score. So I give you the score as high as possible. Okay. The professor gave me a hold on a second. Give me the answer, standard answer for the midterm. Let's have a very quick review. So for first question, list the four primary stakeholder groups and give explanation for each. So there are four parts, four stakeholders. So if you only answer the like shareholders, customers, employees, communities rather than these four, I might give you like 2 points or 3 points off. Um, Also, the explanation. Some people gave me this one and then explain who they are. So, for example, capital market stakeholders, after this phrase, they give me like the shareholders bank, something like that. Uh, I give you the 4 points. Okay. Um, the second question explain the significance of internal analysis. So the keywords for this question is first one, the strengths and the weaknesses, because it's internal analysis. So some people mention SWOT. I also give you these points, uh, but you need to remember the SWOT include internal analysis, also the internal analysis and the external analysis. Okay, so the mm, second keyword is a resource-based model. That also you can say it as the resource and the capabilities, because we learn the resource-based view, also the diamond model. So that means you need to know what is the resources and what is capabilities. Okay, so if you have these two keywords, strengths, weaknesses, and resource-based model, or resource and capability, I give you 4 points. The question three mentions the general environment factors that affect profit potential of firm, and also briefly explain the factors of the technology change and social culture forces. So I'm not sure uh, whether my note like confuse all of you, because some people, I think a very high percentage of people um, read pastel. So I remember you can use pastel to help you memorize general environment factors, but it not exactly what is the, the 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 general environment factors, because the pastel only have six dimension, but for the environmental factors, it have eight dimensions. So if you only answer the pastel, I uh, give you 2 points or 3 points off. Okay, so after this one, the explanation for the uh, tech, technological change and social forces, I think quite easy. If your answer is reasonable, I'll give you 4 points. Uh, Question number 4. Explain the reason why substitute products are taken as threat by firm. So it's very easy question. I think almost everyone get 4 points. So if you answer the substitute will like ruin your market share or profitability, okay, that's enough. Question 5. Define rarity and explain how it creates competitive advantage. Okay. Um, Same as last question, very easy, and almost everyone get full credit. So remember, the rarity is on the VIO model. If you mention the VIO, that would be perfect. Also, if the company won't have a competitive advantage, so a temporary advantage, that also means they have competitive advantage, but it's not um, sustained competitive advantage. So if you mention VRO and you mention if the company have this value and rarity, that would be perfect for this question. And question 6. Okay, so for this question, some people lose your points. Um, there are 2 ways we can answer this question. The first one is from, I didn't review check the book, but the professor gave us this uh, dimension. Like if you mention the deliver or by the diversification, you can deliver greater value utility to new or existing customer than firm without being diversified. Also enhance the growth resource base, exploit their existing customer facing resources, expand its existing set of resources and capabilities. If you have you have all these 4 dimensions, I give you 4 points. Some people uh, reduce the firm's over cost. uh, I will give you 2 points off for each one. And also, you can uh, finish this question by the 8S, which can add value from the diversification, which is employee slack, creating synergy, something like that, 80 points. If you answer the question by that way, I will give you full credit. Okay, so some people confuse diversification with differentiation. So I remember some people give you the answer like some brand image or something else. I remember there are four dimension. So I can not give you full credit, but I still give you about 5 to 6. points for this question. Okay, and question for this one, because you most people lose points from this question. No? Okay. So next question, question 7, mention 4 ways that companies achieve cost advantage through low cost inputs and explain bargaining, bargaining power over suppliers. So here's 4 ways. If you mention these 4 ways, I give you 6 or 7 points. For the bargaining power over suppliers, there are 2 dimensions. The first one is purchasing volume, and second one is purchasing and the negotiation tactics. So if you mentioned buy in bulk, I also give you points. Okay, so if you lose any uh, either you lose one of them, I give you 2 points off. Okay, so question 8, define learning curve, experience curve, and the skill curve. So some people might only compare or write down the answer of the learning curve and the experience curve. They forget the skill curve. So some people lose points just because they didn't finish all the questions. Okay, and then compare them with each other. So you can use different way to compare them. If the answer is reasonable, I'll give you the points. But for the scale curve, or for the different curve, you need to mention like their x-axis and the y-axis. So for all the relationship between the 2 dimension, x and y. So the scale curve is relationship between the cost per unit and scale or the volume of the production in a given time period. And learning curve, so it's very important, is the labor cost. So not the whole cost or the total cost per unit. Okay, so some people didn't mention the labor cost, so you lose the point for the learning curve explanation. Also, for experience curve is a representation of relationship between the cumulative volume and the product cost. So it's a total product cost. So I already mentioned so many times during the review. Also, you can see it from the note. Okay, so you can use different ways to explain their relationship. I mean the different curve. Okay, so which one is easy to explain, or which one easy to get, or easy to calculate, and some curve good at some part of work, some uh, some doesn't. So if you mention this point, I will give you the points. Okay, so question 9, explain how product features can be used to create differentiation in the market. So there are 3 dimension: better job, more job, unique job. So if you mention this 3 dimension, I give you 4 points. Also, if you have any other answer very close to this 3 dimension, I also give you the points. It might not be the 4 points, but you might get 6 or 7. Okay, so number 10, quite easy. I think almost everyone get 4 points, and extra credit question. So the green field entry on the textbook or professor mentioned in class is the company enter into an adjacent market by a firm by their own operation. rather than like after acquisition um, after acquisition of some other company. So some people answer the question by they step into the foreign country. So uh, I think that is reasonable for like very big picture for the greenfield entry, but for the knowledge we learn from the class, so I give you 4 points if you answer adjacent market. Okay, so when should a company use it? The greenfield entry makes sense first and foremost when company will have the front end and the back end resources. That means they have the resources um, to step into the adjacent market. Like they have the customer base, they have the uh, some supplier resources from their original market or original industry or original activity. So if you answer this question like this, I will give you 4 points. Okay. So any question for midterm? No. Okay. So for the midterm note, do you think that is useful or not? I mean, the note I create for you guys. If you want me to create that kind of note during before the final exam, I can. Okay, thank you. So I will create another doc for you guys to change and go over it before the final. Okay. So we still have almost 30 minutes. So let's move quickly. The chapter 7, vertical integration and outsourcing. So there are 5 points or 5 dimension or 5 points you need to remember. The first one, uh, the bring business processes, the concept of the vertical integration, bring business processes or activities. Oh, sorry, I didn't share the screen. Hmm. Okay, so the concept of the vertical integration basically is like it means um, the company won't step into some some activities uh, in its company's value chain. So it can move into the upstream or the downstream. The upstream means backward here is also the another uh, point you need to remember. The backward type of vertical integration, which means upstream, the brings upstream activities into in-house. All the forward downstream bring some um, downstream activities in-house. Like here is like a very interesting example. So our university UCR, if they want to have higher enrollment rate, they want to get most students, they can start opening primary school, middle school, and tell students UCR is the best university in the world. Okay, so that's kind of backward or upstream types of vertical integration. So if UCR wants to have a higher employment rate for the graduates, they can build some companies to hire the students. So it's forward downstream. So I know it's a dream, but like it's just an easy way for you to memorize the concept. Okay, so three key reasons to vertically integrate the three C's, this page and the next page. Okay, so the capabilities, I use an example here rather than the concept. So it will be easy for you to understand what's the difference between them. Like the capabilities, that means if a company cannot be the one of the best in the industry, if they uh, for like some for some activities, like for here is example, Nike cannot be one of the best for manufacturing the shoes, so they decide to outsource it and focus more on the design and marketing. Okay, so here's an example for why they didn't choose the vertical integration, because of they cannot have very good capabilities. But for like Apple, at the very beginning, they all source the chip manufacturing at the very beginning, and then they did by themselves. So that means they have the vertical integration of the chip making. So that means they believe they can make very good uh, chips. Also, they can, it's very important for their future uh, product design or a new product release. Okay, so the capability means if you cannot do the best for some activity, you outsource it. If you can, you bring it into your house. Okay. The second one, coordination. That means like is is because you need it for your other steps or other activities for your company you have already owned, like the also the example of Apple, they have already have like some other hardware or software design um, department. So, you know, Apple is very unique, especially like 10 years ago. And if they want to release very unique company to let the customer pay more, they need knows very details, and the chip is very important because it supports the future design of the phone. Also, it will affect the space inside the phone. It affect the structure of the iPhone, right? So that means they need high coordination if they want to a new phone. So that's why they bring the the chip manufacturer or design um, into their house. So you can see the picture here. So if the company have some work that is need low teamwork, also need low coordination, so they can outsource it to another company or other suppliers, like Nike outsource the manufacture manufacturing, and if the company has a work that is moderate teamwork or high teamwork, so they need to take the vertical integration into consideration. Okay, so I think that you need to know the difference between the capability and the coordination. Okay. When I asked professor after last class, because I'm a little bit confused about the difference between the two. So he said when we read a report or when we explain it to other guys, sometimes we will combine the capabilities and the coordination together to give other explanation. So when we um, see see a company's we will use like capabilities coordination together to see how they are good or bad at this part. Okay. Any question? Uh, okay, we also have another dimension, another reason, the control. So the oil refining company controls the pipelines to keep stability, stability, stability of the ship cost. Like because the pipeline like will because they only have like for example the two ways to ship the oil. The first one is by some truck, and next one is pipeline. The pipeline will be cheaper when you achieve the economy of scale. So here is a picture of my favorite game recently. It's called Soviet Republic. If you, especially for the boys, if you can play it, I can promise you will stay up late. And so um, here means the company, they want to have very stability of some uh, resources. They want to control the cost, so they need to buy or they need to like do it by themselves uh, to like to uh, get some suppliers or some uh, downstream activities in house. So the these kind of activities also you can call it the transaction specific asset. So here the oil pipeline is a transaction specific asset. Okay, so it's customized or specialized to particular use for their current uh, main activities for the company. Okay, the dangers of the vertical integration also you can see is it is advantages also of outsourcing. Like in the last uh, slides we mentioned, if you it depends your situation. If you have opportunity to choose vertical integration or outsourcing, so the danger of vertical integration also the advantage of the outsourcing. Okay, so there are 2 points. The first one is the loss of flexibility. One of the reasons that Nike choose, one example is one of the reasons that Nike chooses to outsource production of its shoes because they want to have the flexibility to change or switch suppliers, okay, depending on the cost. The second one is loss of a focus. Like GM, they own so many product lines to produce different parts, but Toyota outsource most of them to other suppliers, or they invest other company or like buy the share of other parts company to let them have more focus on their other design or other development. Okay, so that's why GM lost so much cost than Toyota. Okay, the dangers of outsourcing. First one is the loss of capabilities. For example, in class, Dell, we mentioned Dell lost its capabilities of innovation when it outsourced the majority of components. So you can see the charts, the graph here from the year 14, the profit or the net income or loss, they have a total loss from that year. So even though they are very successful from 1996 to the first 10 years of this century, just because that strategy is like have less asset to own higher flexibility, but they lose some capability of innovation. So that's why they lose money. Okay, the second one is loss of control. Like the Nike example, in the mini case, the New Balance lost control of the subcontractors and fell into legal issues in China, right? Okay, chapter 8. Oh, sorry. Any question for the chapter 7? No? Good. Chapter 8, strategy alliance. Okay, so the first one is the concept strategic alliance. So you can see the picture I mentioned in the class because we mentioned in this class, we mentioned the Disneyland Tokyo. In the class, they have a strategic alliance with their with a Japanese company because they have some real estate of finance resources. And you can see the picture, this 10 years ago, I went to Disneyland Tokyo. I'm not a big fan of Disneyland because my childhood, I don't watch too many like cartoon or animation of from the Disneyland, but I think it's a culture, so it's very important. Like when you go to LA, you have to go to the Disneyland, right? But 10 years ago, that's me. So very interesting. And I think it's a very interesting summer. During that year, my team, uh, Lakers win the championship. It's Kobe Bryant last championship. And also you can see I wear a t-shirt of Lakers. So now I'm in the city very close to LA. So the thing is very magic. Okay, that's 10 years ago. Okay, so if you have a chance, you can go to the Tokyo Disneyland. I think it's quite different from here. The culture keeps same, but I mean the management of the park is very unique. Okay, so if you have the chance, go to the East Asia. I think there are three park of the Disneyland: Hong Kong, Shanghai, and Tokyo. Okay. Also, I'm in Shanghai. If you have a plan to Shanghai, I can show you around the Disneyland. Okay. The concept of the strategic alliance is a cooperative arrangement in which two or more firms combine their resources and capability to create new value, sometimes referred to as a partnership. Okay. The types of alliances, there are three ways. The first one is contractual or non-equity alliance. That means you govern the relationship between the two companies based on the contract. The second one, equity alliance. That means equity holdings in their alliance partners. For example, here Toyota owns between 5 and 49% of the equity of its 10 largest Japanese suppliers, like their seats, their transmission, mm, or some other parts. Okay, so they invest money into their partners. So that's a way of equity alliance. So last one, the joint venture. That means the two companies invest together and create independent new firm. The ways of creating value in alliances, we have 4 ways. The first one is combine unique resources. Here example, the Pixar and the Disney, they have different resources, but they can help each other. For example, Disneyland have they can distribute the film, or they have the theme park, so they can have the Pixar to promote their new animation. Also, the Pixar has very capability of computer generated animation, also the story writing skills. The second one is pool of similar resources, like two small companies, or like two companies, they want to step into a new mm, they want to step new activity, like will will be booming in the next 10 years. That here is an example that Intel and Micron want want to get into manufacturing flash memory, but they cannot do it by themselves because they only own the capability of part part of the capability to achieve the capability of manufacturing flash memory. So they combine it together to get the resources. Okay. Then another 2 ways is first one, create new alliance specific resources, like Toyota, Bushuku, automobile seats manufacturer uses conveyor belt to send the seeds to Toyota. So this Bushuku company is get investment from Toyota to produce the seats. But the the two companies very close. At the very beginning, they use like maybe the truck to deliver the seeds from the Bushuku to Toyota. But then they invest more money to add a conveyor belt among the two companies, so they can save the seeds more quickly. Okay, so you can see the picture here is a belt. They put the seeds after manufacture them. Is very interesting. The last one is a lower transaction cost. So why we have a transaction cost? That because we don't believe or trust each other. We don't uh, we don't trust the partners like the suppliers, or even the our distributors. So we need to charge the fees, or we need to hire some salesmen or we need to employ some lawyers to make a contract to protect our profit. So all this kind of the cost of the transactions, just because we don't trust each other. Okay, so use alliances because we combine something together, so we can lower the transaction cost. So we don't need too many salesmen because we have already owned that activities by ourselves. Okay, the risk of the alliances. There are two risks. The first one is hold up. That means when one partner tries to exploit the alliance's specific investment made by another partner. So that means if your partner have already paid money or they invest some money into uh, our relationship to help our relationship build together or um, help the activity more efficiency. But another partner, they only want to get profit from that invest and don't invest back. So that means the hold up. Okay. The misrepresentation is when one partner in an alliance creates false expectation about the resources it brings to relationship or fails to deliver what is originally promised. Okay, uh, like if you want to, for example, if you want to if you are biotechnology technology company and now you are developing a new drug to fight some disease. Uh, but you are not sure 100% sure the function of the whether the pill is useful or not. So if you want to convince a pharmaceutical company, you you just um, over evaluate your drug. So that means you misrepresentation the activity. That means you don't have the resources enough resources to let others to believe you or process something in the future, but you do. So that's the meaning of a misrepresentation. Okay. Uh, there are three ways to build trust to lower the risks of the alliances. The personal trust, that means before you want to have alliances, you need to have a very good relationship with their maybe CEO or the some other from other manager from the department, other department. The second one is the legal contracts. You need to sign a contract. The third one is shared ownership and financial uh, collateral bonds, like what Toyota did. They invest some money into their or own shares of their partners. Okay, any question for chapter 8? Uh, lastly, um, we have remember we have a quiz. Maybe on next Monday it includes chapter 9 and 10. Also, the mini case Samsung due next Friday, and you also need to talk with the professor about your project immediately. If you didn't make an appointment yet, you need to do it right now. Okay? Oh, Tuesday. Sorry, because every time professor also mentioned this Monday, so I'm also confused. So it's Tuesday. Sorry. Okay. Any question? Okay. So if you have no other questions, you can please feel free to leave. I will stay here to answer your own questions.
Watson,
Yes.
how do we find out who our group is?
Can be louder?
How do we find out who our group is?
Okay. You want to find your group member, right?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
I mean, like you want to know who is your group member, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me open the iLearn. Can you see the iLearn?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so here's a group button here, and when you open it, for example, group A, so you can see the group member. And if you want to contact with each other, you can open the course material. There is documents, Excel document, and there's your email there, and you can contact with each other and also create a Zoom link to talk with each other.
Okay, thank you.
I also want to mention, so for your Zoom, I think you only have 40 minutes, if I'm correct. So you can use another way to contact if it's over 40 minutes, or you can mm, you can do it again. Okay. Okay, so I have already received so many emails, so I will check later after class and feedback to you. Okay, we still have 23 people. Um, Okay, Harash, right? If my pronunciation right. So we can I can open your. Let's keep that them out. Uh, Other persons, please get out of the room if you have no questions.
Hi, Watson.
Yeah, let me remove all other guys and then I can review your exam, okay?
Okay.
Hey, Watson.
Yeah.
Really quick, yesterday he announced that the group meeting dates were under announcements, and I'm not seeing them.
You mean who, Professor?
Yeah.
Oh, he mentioned he will like give you some select for the meeting time, right?
Yeah, he said they were under announcements. But do we email him and then he'll give us the selections?
I think so. I think so. Harash, could you tell me like what your group now is going? Did you email the professor or
Email professor about my group.
no, I mean like the how you appoint the make appointment with the professor for the meeting time because like
Oh yeah, because we made a meeting time yesterday.
okay, so give him a email, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I see. So look, I think you need to send him an email because I didn't notice there is announcement about the time you can talk with the time you can choose from the announcement.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, you're supposed to email him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.